Happy Monday. Isn't it crazy how Monday just keeps coming around? It's just like it feels like it was just last Monday. Anyway, I'm happy you're here with me. Welcome. Welcome to Fireside Chats with Kimberly. Thank you to Wild Earth, who is the sponsor for this week's talks. Prize packs for this month's contest have been graciously donated by Hodo Foods, Crofters Organics, Follow Your Heart, Cinnaholic, and Orgain. I invite my viewers to enter the monthly contest at virtualvegfest.com and click on the contest tab for details. Entering is super easy. Just by liking and or subscribing to our social media and Virtual Veg Fest YouTube channel, you're entered to win one of 5 prize packs. And we really want you to subscribe to the Virtual Veg Fest YouTube channel. So we're continuing to do 25 entries just for subscribing through the contest link. You can support our sponsors by liking their social media and earn extra, I almost said entrees, earn extra entries that way too. So it's Monday, yay, clearly I can't even get a sentence out there. So awesome, welcome everyone. Thanks for being here with me tonight. If you would like to let me know where you're watching from, I'd love to know that. So please drop that in the chat. Tonight, we are talking about feelings of overwhelm. And of course, questions, comments, whatever, add those to the chat as well. But we're talking about feelings of overwhelm when you're first going vegan. So what, why is that a problem? Well, because sometimes we can feel so overwhelmed, not just about going vegan, but about anything, that it causes us to stop doing what it is that we know we really want to do. Right? How many times in your life, I know I have a few, where I really wanted to do something, but I got so overwhelmed by whatever about it that I just didn't do it. And then I look back and I feel badly or disappointed that I didn't. So how do we avoid that when it comes to going vegan? Well, I have some thoughts. Of course. And so I'll share those with you. But again, please, leave them and leave your comments, thoughts, stories in the chat, and we'll share them with the world. So first, I would say what leads to overwhelm when you're first going vegan. And I think that one of the very first things is feeling like you don't know enough. So a lack of knowledge. And I know for me, when I first decided to stop eating animals, I didn't know how to cook, and I didn't really eat a whole lot of things, especially vegetables. I've said it before, I ate like broccoli sometimes, definitely corn. You could not get me anywhere near things like spinach. So I felt a little stuck at first, but what I did was I started to learn about it. So if you have some favorite dishes that you really enjoy now, how can you alter them to be, vegan? That is the first step. And also, I wanted to share, this is a link to the book that I read over and over again when I first stopped eating animals, because that really helped me. There's so much information. Brenda Davis is, really well known, and she's just a very well trusted resource. So definitely check out that book. Your library might have it. You don't have to buy it, but that will help you start to understand just kind of, what the options are. And of course, there's tons of vegan cookbooks out there. I did an episode about vegan cookbooks. If you visit the Virtual Veg Fest website, Virtual Veg Fest Live YouTube channel, that you'll find the show there. And it was all about cookbooks. I show my cookbooks, and then if you check out my Instagram, there are pictures of the books. So you can just go there and you can get the titles. But that's one of the things. And think about anything in your life, right? You're starting something new and you don't really know a lot about it. You're not going to be an expert. There's going to be questions that you have. There's going to be stuff that comes up that you don't understand, or you feel overwhelmed or stuck. It's not just about food. This applies really to any kind of change you're making in your life, right? So be kind and gentle with yourself and just start learning. Be curious. Definitely be curious. Good evening, Richard. Thanks for joining us. I always give you a nickname, so sorry about that. Thanks for joining us from Edison, New Jersey. Welcome. Oh, we've got Diane here tonight too. Welcome, Diane. Glad to have you here. Thanks for joining. So what else leads to overwhelm? I think a lack of a supportive environment can definitely lead to that feeling of overwhelm. When you're first going vegan, you might have people in your life that are not okay with it for whatever reason. And a lot of times, people are just afraid of things that they don't know. And humans overall just don't like change. So even if they are not changing their own lives, the fact that you are close to them and you are doing something to change yours can make someone else feel defensive or confused or nervous about a potential change. So again, we have to be kind and we want to be kind and gentle there as well. So when you think about the lack of support, if you have people in your life that just don't get it, I mean, I've had people that were like, would see me eating something or, wearing a pair of sneakers or carrying a handbag. And the first question, not hello, not hi, nice to see you, how are you? Is that dish vegan? Are those sneakers vegan? And it was almost like they were challenging me to catch me in the act of not being vegan, of not doing something vegan. And that kind of stuff can make you feel nervous about this new change and make you feel overwhelmed. What does this mean for my social life or even my at home life? Am I going to be stressed out all the time because my family doesn't understand? We don't want that. Nobody wants to live that way. So find your community. Sometimes you'll find your community out in the world. You might have a local vegan group that meets or is starting to meet, depending on where you are, and you might be able to hang out with some local vegans and have the community that way. And then it will be less stressful when you're at home surrounded by people who don't get it because you have those other people who do. And if that's not a possibility, then and you have the ability to be online, which it seems you do if you're here watching the show, then maybe you look for online vegan communities and you can find them, on the social media, platforms like Facebook. There's different groups for sure. There's tons of vegan groups specific to your location, specific to things that you like. And so just spend some time kind of, Googling around there and see if you can find a community that resonates with you. And just because you join one community, if they're not your people, they're not your people, and that's okay too. You don't have to stay. But try to find people who understand what you're going through and where you are, and that will lessen the impact that the people who aren't joining you on this journey, it'll lessen the impact that they have, and it will reduce that feeling of overwhelm. Another thing that can create feelings of overwhelm are changes in your body. A lot of people, when they first go vegan, find that they are super gassy or they're going to the bathroom a lot more. Not necessarily that their stomach is upset, but there's a lot of change happening in there. And you're consuming a lot of things that maybe you didn't eat a lot of beforehand, a lot more roughage. So you're eating a lot more greens and veggies. And then the beans, of course, they don't make songs about how much beans make you fart for no reason, right? So you want to be prepared for that. And also some people gain weight going vegan. Some people lose weight going vegan. And it can make you really uncomfortable if you feel like, oh, my body is changing and I don't know how to stop that or how to fix it. Regarding the gas and the regular going to the bathroom, that stuff will lessen especially being gassy over consuming, more vegetables and beans, that your body will get used to it. Give yourself a couple of weeks. A lot of us are still home most of the time, so let her rip, right? You're at home. Um, but there are products out there that will help with reducing gas. Make sure you chew your food. Chew your food really well. You want you chew with your mouth closed so you're breathing properly. You're breathing through your nose, and then just chew until your food is liquefied, and that will help because your body can process that better, and you're also getting more nutrients through your saliva. So overall, that's better for everybody. And you'll feel better. You won't be as bloated and you won't be as gassy if you are being more mindful about how you're chewing your food. And that will help. And you'll be less self-conscious, right? Because that can, if your stomach is constantly rumbling because you're gassy from what you've been eating, you'll probably be a little self-conscious. And that is perfectly understandable, that these little things might help you be able to get through that transition period. Um, and another thing that can make you feel overwhelmed, and feel free if you have any comments, if you have any questions, if you have a story you want to share about how you felt overwhelmed and maybe what you did to get through it, or if you need some help getting through that now, please, go ahead and post in the comments, and I'll be happy to talk with you about it. But another thing that can lead you to feel overwhelmed is when you're not eating enough. I mean, the latest example that I can think of is Miley Cyrus. She said she went vegan after one of her pets had passed away, and she said she made the connection and she just couldn't eat animals anymore. And then, like 2 years later or something, I think it was last year, she announced that she's not vegan anymore because she was eating celery all the time. And like whether or not she was really subsisting on mostly celery, um, or whether she was eating more than just celery, I hope so, right? She clearly wasn't eating enough. We still have to eat enough calories. We have to have a variety of foods in order to feel satisfied, in order to not be hungry all the time, in order for our bodies to function the way that they're supposed to. So don't be afraid to eat more, especially if you're transitioning not just, from animal foods, but you're also then transitioning to more of the whole foods. You're not eating as many processed foods. You to eat like the standard meal, if you think about people who do consume animals, they'll have a piece of animal on their plate, and then like a tiny scoop of vegetables, and then maybe a small scoop of rice or pasta, and maybe a small side salad. That's not going to cut it if you are eating all like fruits and vegetables. You've got to get in the good fats. And you know what? Don't be afraid. When I eat bowls, I eat they're giant bowls because I need to fit like half a bag of spinach in there, and then arugula on top of that, plus potatoes and whatever veggies I have on hand, peppers, tomatoes, cucumbers, roasted red peppers, and then a couple, some cubes of tofu. And I say a couple, but let's be real, it's like half the block, because it's so good and I love it. Um, and then I just kind of drizzle some balsamic and then a scoop of hummus on top. Don't be afraid to eat. And if you're having still like more of the processed vegan stuff, like that's cool too. But make sure with the vegetables, you're piling them on. Like you can eat a lot more food than you're used to. So you want to make sure that you are satisfied. You should not be hungry all day. Being vegan is not restrictive. Being vegan is expansive. We don't want to think about what we're not eating, because you'll find that when you've been vegan for a while, it's simply not food anymore. So you'll get to the point where there's nothing that you can't have. There's food that you won't have. There's food that you choose not to have. And our language is important. Our language is super important. The way we talk to ourselves, the way we talk to others, the way we talk about ourselves to others is huge. If you're constantly saying, I can't, like you're inside, you're hearing that. And before you know it, you're gonna be like, I can't do anything, can't eat anything. But my goodness, is the whole world open to you. There are so many different cuisines that I would never have tried. Never, ever, ever, if I was still eating animals. And so many different flavors and just experimenting and having fun. This is fun. Being vegan is beautiful and amazing and just enhances your life. And look, if you hate to cook, cool, I get that. I hated to cook at first too, but the more time I spent in the kitchen, the more I learned that I loved it. And maybe you won't ever love it, but there's so many options. You can get big bags of, like I said, spinach, and you can, I always have a huge bag of frozen broccoli. I always have a couple huge bags of frozen broccoli in the freezer, and I'll put like half of that into a pot, and then like a full bag of corn in the same pot, and I'll just cook that with some garlic powder and some salt and pepper, and I just dump that in the bowl too. We put some tofu on top, or some like Gardein nuggets. Like, just throw that stuff in there. Don't be afraid to eat. Experiment. Have fun with it. It will reduce those feelings of overwhelm if you're looking at it as an adventure, if you're looking at it as something you are adding to your life, because you are. You really are adding something so wonderful. It will make you feel good emotionally, mentally, and physically. So just take a breath, let the overwhelm come, breathe again, and know that you'll get through it. Know that there are people like me here to help you get through it. So if you have questions or anything, come to me and reach out to local vegan groups that you find, post in the vegan communities that you're a member of. Like, we're here to help you just embrace this life. And, like I said, so many times when we're changing anything in our life, even good stuff, right? Humans don't like change. So even when we're changing to add something amazing into our lives, we're embarking on not just going vegan, we're starting that dream job. We're buying that dream house. We've met the love of our lives. It's still stressful, even if it's good stress. And change is still scary, even when it's good change. And that includes going vegan. So we want to be gentle. We want to be kind. And I invite you, when you have these feelings of overwhelm, and maybe even when you're not feeling that way, to sit down and really think about the last time you made a big change in your life, something significant and important to you. What did you do when you felt overwhelmed? What worked for you? And even more importantly, what didn't work for you? Because you want to make sure that you know yourself. If you know that doing X, Y, and Z has never worked, anytime you're going through a change, you do this one thing and it makes things worse. Know this time, don't do that one. Look at what has worked and try those first. The answers are there, and you will be okay. And that really applies, again, to anything in your life. And finally, compassion is the cornerstone of veganism. And while, yes, the focus is on the animals, the compassion is there for you too. Have compassion for yourself. That includes if you eat something or you buy something that has animal products and you didn't realize it until after the fact or until you're mid-bite. We have to be gentle with ourselves, right? And it's a learning experience. There's no reason to beat yourself up, to punish yourself. Doesn't mean, I start all over again. If you're a person who is thinking about how long you've been vegan, and if you think about, I just made this mistake, and now I'm not vegan anymore. I have to start all over. But you don't. You're not starting all over. You already learned the things that you learned. So you are just picking back up where you left off. So it's not, don't feel defeated. It is okay. You will be just fine. So be kind to yourself. It's a learning process. Know that even now, I went vegetarian 20 years ago. I'm still learning. I'm still reading labels. Always make sure you read labels, even if it's the same product you've been buying for the last year, 6 years, 10 years. You never know when a company is going to change their formula. Always check. So just get in that habit. It'll become part of who you are. And that's really when you know that it's stuck, right? It's such a huge part of your life that it's like muscle memory, and you'll get there. And don't let that make you feel overwhelmed either. Like, oh my God, like I can't even imagine being a person who doesn't have to think about this. Yeah, well, I couldn't imagine being that way either. But when you have something that's bigger than yourself, and veganism is not just for us. Veganism is for the animals, for the world, for the planet, the environment, for the people who work in the industries that harm these animals. It's so much bigger, and it just feels amazing. When you're feeling overwhelmed, remember that too. These little things that you do, these small choices you make every single day are making a big difference. And I am really proud of you, and I'm really thankful that that's what you're doing. So, thank you for joining me tonight. I, as always, am honored, so honored to do this work, to be here with you, to answer your questions, and help you in any way that you need. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Did You Bring the Hummus? My website, didyouBringTheHummus.com. Also, in 2 weeks, right? August 11th. Oh, it's next week. We are starting a show called The Vegan Stew. I will be a part of that. It will be here on Virtual Veg Fest Live. It'll be Wednesday nights, except for the first Wednesday of each month. And it's going to be 5 of us, and we're going to have a great conversation, and we'll just see how that goes. So join us there. Come back next Monday. I'll see you then. Oh, thank you, Helene. I really appreciate that. Yes, Richard, that's amazing. Be kind till next week, and then we'll be kind next week too. I love it. Thank you all so, so much. Have an amazing week. I love you.